to look at Mark 3 this morning. Mark 3. And we're going to read from verse 1 to 6. And I had this scripture pegged out probably midway in our vacation, just looking at it. And I was trying to look at things that are going around what I'm studying on. And at the time, I was thinking about, the healing power of Jesus, okay, which fits really well into this morning what we've been talking about. Jerry's seen that healing power. Steve witnessed it. His family witnessed it. I mean, we see those kind of things happening. And the amazing part was that healing power didn't necessarily just happen in these four walls, did it? That's the amazing part. So, I started looking at some of these things, and let me read it for you, and then we're gonna get into it. It's Mark 3, 1 through 6. It says, another time he went into the synagogue, which is the church, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. So they watched him closely to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." And then Jesus asked him, Which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil? To save life or to kill?" But they remained silent. He looked around them in anger and deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts, and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Then the Pharisees went out and began to plot with the Herodians how they might kill Jesus. Okay? Now there's a few different things in here we look at that. First of all, a lot of times we overlook a lot of different areas in Scripture. And a lot of times and I preached on this before, it's how the people reacted to Jesus, right? Being mad that he was willing to heal on the Sabbath. It wasn't necessarily could he heal, but would he heal? Would he heal on the Sabbath? Would he be willing to step out there and kind of go across the grain and heal this guy on the Sabbath? And he did. I want to look at the guy this morning. A lot of times we forget about the actual person who it's impacting. And it's the guy. Now, you got to remember, back in the biblical times, if you had a shriveled up hand, or if you had a disease or leprosy or something, you weren't always the first one to walk into the synagogue, or even be accepted to walk in the synagogue. Those people were usually outside with a cup, selling pencils, and trying to raise money because they're homeless, because no one takes care of them. But this guy, he obviously had a reason to come to the synagogue, didn't he? Why do you think he went? Interaction time. Why do you think this guy walked into the synagogue that day? To get healed. There's no other reason, was there? I mean, he knew exactly what was going to happen. Faith talked today about this a little bit. I want to look at the first aspect here, because I want you to think about who comes to church. Okay? Who actually comes to church? And I'm not saying the church is the place to be all the time necessarily, okay? But there is a purpose for it. There is a purpose for church. There is a purpose for the synagogue at the time, and a different thing. Because, first of all, it gives us an opportunity to gather with believers, right? Encourage and lift up. Now, we know the healing happens outside the church. It doesn't happen just in the church. But here, right here, who comes to church? Who comes to the synagogue? Who are we hearing here? Think about it. Why did he come again? Why did you go to the Friday night thing? Huh? Okay, that's one aspect. What was another aspect? To receive. Looking for an encounter, right? I mean, this guy was looking for an encounter with God. This is why he's walking in here. This guy with the shriveled up hand, he walks in. Now, I did a little research on this, and sometimes I wonder where people come from it, but some of the ratings say that this guy was probably a bricklayer. And the amount of years of laying brick, his hand, got deformed because it just so much work. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't really care. He had a shriveled up hand. He went there to get healed. So, one reason. Who comes? People who are looking to encounter God. Put the next slide on. I want you to show you This here is the boat we were on. Okay? Now, you think there's one reason, one soul, the big ship, not the little one. Why would you go on a cruise? Think about it. What's the purpose of going on a cruise? Relax. That was my main thing. What? Okay. What else? I want to give. How many of you have been on a cruise? Okay. I'm excited about this a little bit because I really there's some Christian cruises that I want our church to look at down the road. I mean, there's some really neat one. Chris Tomlin's doing one next year, and it's all Christian. The whole boat is done in a Christian aspect. The singers, the people that play on the decks, all that kind of stuff are playing Christian music. But as soon as you come to the Everglades, you get off your taxi or get out of your bus, and they are right there to pick up your bags. Okay? You're catered to from the time you walk out of your car until you walk off that boat. I mean, they're there to offer you something to drink, something to eat. I mean, there's food nonstop on this thing. And you are taken care of completely. You can relax. You don't have to worry about, okay, what restaurant we're going to go to today. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 places to go to. But for the most part, it's there to relax, for most people. And to enjoy yourself. So for most, it's to encounter a good time. Third day into it, there's a buffet that it makes Golden Corral look like a little bitty hot dog cart. Okay, this is massive. It's huge. I mean, everything and anything that you want. And the third day, I'm behind these women. I don't care. These crabby old women sitting in line, and they're in there, and they're just and they're complaining about everything and anything. It's like, they ran out of coffee cups earlier, and just but they fed into each other. You could see it trickling down the line as they're saying. I mean, there's a lot of people who probably didn't have a gripe in the world, but after this one woman started, I mean, they might as well get out the boat. And I was like, and I said to the woman, I said, so why do you come on these cruises? She says, my husband and I have been on 20 cruises. I said, yeah, but why? And she said, because we enjoy it. I said, look, I'm waiting for that one to start. And she looks at me, and it's like, I mean, enjoy your life. I mean, there's absolutely nothing. You don't have to go anywhere. You can't go anywhere. If you can't wait for a coffee cup to be put out, there's something majorly wrong, isn't there? I mean, there's something majorly wrong. I mean, if they don't have the exact thing on something, I guarantee you can talk to someone and they'll find it. Krista is a cottage cheese fanatic, okay? She loves her cottage cheese, her salads, and the chef would cater to her. Every meal, he'd come out there and, Mrs. Miller, do you need some cottage cheese with your meal today? Well, they didn't have it out on the meal. And she didn't want me to go ask. I said, well, I'll ask. What's the big deal? And the guy, I mean, you're talking about catering. There was absolutely nothing to write about. I mean, your bed got made 3 times a day. That means I got a napkin. But I'm looking back and I'm listening to these people and I'm thinking, what is there to gripe about? What is there to gripe about? But you know what? We see that in Scripture here too, don't we? We see that. I mean, here's a guy who's got a shriveled up hand. He's come to be healed. He's come to have an encounter with God. Show the